Hello and welcome back to the Life Without Envy web workshop. This is episode 6, how to design a disappointment management system. This is not trademarked. I just cracked myself up picturing this as something someone would package and sell in a late night infomercial. The point is here that we are finding fun and easy ways to take ourselves less seriously. First off, if you haven't watched the How to Unhook from the One Perfect Outcome video, definitely check that out after watching this one because these topics are closely related. Now I'm going to share my own disappointment management system using a recent example, a rejection I received from the Launchpad workshop at the University of Wyoming. Now, this is a summer program for writers looking to improve their science literacy. And so you go to lectures on astronomy and astrophysics, you go to the observatory. It sounds like an absolutely amazing week of learning and nerdiness. And my friends Nova and Joelle have been, they loved it, they learned a lot, and they have been encouraging me to apply for years. So I finally did, and I didn't get in.
Step 1. Give yourself time to feel sad. And if you feel frustrated, say if someone you know got into that program you applied for and is tweeting ecstatically about it, allow yourself to feel those icky feelings too. Exercise them in your journal, call up a good friend, and vent in private. No sense pretending you're not feeling what you're feeling. Step 2. Take to heart any and all encouraging words. If you tell a friend about your bad news and they say, "You'll get in next time," or "I'm sure you'll be able to sell that story somewhere else," don't respond in your head with, "They don't understand how bad this sucks." Take a breath and allow yourself to feel grateful for their belief in you. These are the folks who are going to be celebrating with you when you do get good news, and those celebrations will be even sweeter if you appreciate your friends now. When I got the Launchpad rejection email, emailing Joelle was the first thing I did, and here was her response. It's really helpful how encouraging yet pragmatic she is. You can tell from her response that she herself is quite adept at moving on from disappointing news, and those are exactly the kind of friends you want around you. Step 2.5. Most of the time when I get rejections, they're just form emails, so there's no need to reply, but Mike's email was personalized. A response was called for, so I thanked him for considering my application. Not only is this basic good manners, but when you express your gratitude, even if you're not feeling it as genuinely as you ideally would, the good vibes you put out will come back to you in another form. More on this later. Step 3. Make a plan. How are you going to regroup? In my case, I know I'm going to follow Joelle's advice and reapply to Launchpad in 2020. The deadline is usually February 15th, but this year it was March 15th. Just in case it's in February next year, I'm going to add the earlier date to my calendar. Future me is going to look over my early 2020 calendar and be ready when applications open again. Sometimes the plan might involve holding off on making a decision. For instance, you may decide that after a full round of rejections, you want to put your short story or essay away and revise it later with relatively fresh eyes. But be sure to store this dream or goal somewhere you can easily find it again when the time is right. I don't have an effective system yet for storing time-sensitive notes to self, so right now putting it on my Google Calendar makes the most sense even when the deadline isn't exact. Either way, the point is to be proactive, to turn that disappointed energy around instead of wallowing in it. Step 4. If all else fails, tell yourself, somebody else needed this more than I did. This is particularly relevant when you applied for a fellowship or residency with a limited number of places. Here's a perfect example. Last year, I applied for an arts fellowship worth $25,000, and I didn't get it. Have I been working hard at this for 15 years? Sure. But as a middle-class white woman, I was likely one of the most privileged people applying for that grant. Remembering your privilege is really helpful, even liberating at times like this. Step 5. Deliberately do something fun and/or healthy. Quick side note here. Self-care is a problematic concept now that it's been co-opted by the capitalists. I've written about this in my next book, and I'll probably do a video on this topic sometime soon. That said, this is the perfect time to nourish yourself. Go for a hike, take a hot bath, get a massage, cook your favorite meal, or treat yourself to dinner at your favorite restaurant. Notice the difference between indulging and wallowing, though. Eating a half gallon of ice cream in one sitting is not taking care of yourself.
Now it's time to design a disappointment management system of your own. So pour yourself a fun beverage, sit down with your journal, take some time to formulate some strategies for licking your wounds in a productive way. Remember, don't define yourself by your disappointments, but by how you choose to react to them. Now, before I end this video, I have an update for you. I have since found out that Joelle was right. There was a cancellation and Mike was able to offer me a place on this year's workshop after all. Remember what I said earlier about saying thank you even when you don't feel as grateful as you could or should feel? Here's the thing. Who knows how many people were on that wait list or if the list was even ranked? If a program director has one slot available and 10 people on a wait list, do you think he or she is going to offer that place to the person who wrote back to thank them and wish them all the best? Yeah, probably. I have a bonus insight on this topic from my friend Becky Mahoney. Becky writes, remember that every submission, even if it ends in rejection, is a potential connection for later. Almost everyone I have ever worked with said no to me at least once. And if you take rejection graciously, people tend to remember that. Keep a list of the people who have given you advice or a kind word. And when you finish that weird, ambitious project, try them again. I know how hard it can be to do the generous thing when we are feeling such disappointment and frustration and discouragement. These negative, corrosive emotions have a shriveling effect around the heart. We don't want that. If you can remind yourself to feel grateful and to be gracious, disappointment doesn't have to sting. It doesn't have to hurt. It doesn't have to knock you on your ass for the next week. It can be a really simple indicator that you just need to reroute your creative energy, move in a different direction. It's a sign from the universe. So if you found this exercise helpful, I'd love to hear from you. Share your insights so everyone can benefit in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.